Reduz as marcas escurecidas em 2 semanas. Novo sérum corporal Dove.
This is What If. And here's what would happen if you lit a match on Jupiter, almost entirely gaseous. But lighting your match would be difficult, to say the least. Now, if you're watching this video, converts to white, you need to reinvent the matchbox. You'd need one that could ignite the match without the need for external oxygen in the atmosphere. So you could lose the white phosphorus in your match. Instead, you'd need a match that could generate enough heat from friction to break down potassium chloride on the matchstick into oxygen. The flame would keep burning as long as the matchstick coating lasted. But one matchstick wouldn't provide you with the oxygen you'd need to ignite Jupiter. You'd need a lot more. Again, considering that Jupiter is the most massive planet in our solar system, you'd be burning off an astounding amount of hydrogen. To be precise, about 1.4 multiplied by 10 to the power of 27 kilograms of the stuff. For hydrogen to combust, you'd need about half as much oxygen present in the atmosphere as there is hydrogen. As you might have guessed, you'd need to gather a lot of oxygen. And because molecules of oxygen are way heavier than molecules of hydrogen, the total mass of oxygen we'd need would be about 6 times the mass of Jupiter. Yeah, there isn't enough oxygen in the entire solar system for this to happen. Sorry to disappoint you, but Jupiter won't be erupting in flames anytime soon. And before you try to get creative with your methods, let me tell you that even the most energetic impact that ever occurred on the gas giant didn't cause a single spark. In 1994, the comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 crashed into Jupiter. As it entered the atmosphere, it broke into multiple pieces. In 1994, the comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 crashed into Jupiter. As it entered the atmosphere, it broke into multiple pieces. Some were as large as 1 kilometer in diameter. The total impact of all these pieces was massive. So massive that the total kinetic energy was many times more powerful than the Hiroshima nuclear bomb. But still, no flames. Still feel. The 2 biggest planets in our solar system in one telescope view. Catastrophe is imminent. If Jupiter and Saturn suddenly were on a collision course 635 light years away from Earth, there's a world covered in liquid ocean. A world where you wouldn't die a horrible death. Probably. Welcome to Kepler 22b.
Hey y'all, I've got an exciting mission to land on and explore a planet that could be Earth 2.0. what if guy got tired of sending me to die in the solar system, so this time I'm traveling to an exoplanet where I might actually have a chance to survive. Exoplanets are like planets in our solar system, except they orbit different stars. They're cool, but there's just one problem. Exoplanets are really far away. So your solar system is this tiny little neighborhood with planets and moons orbiting around a sun in its center. And potentially, light years away, there are billions of other tiny little neighborhoods left to be explored. So you might have heard of the exoplanet that I'm going to. It's called Kepler 22b. It's not that far. Okay, only 635 light years. I'll be there in no time.
Even with advanced propulsion technology, a spacecraft traveling at 20% of the speed of light would require 3,175 Earth years to reach Kepler 22b.
Buzzkill. Well, luckily, I'm at a spaceport, and they have this, warp drive technology. So I'll be there in a jiff.
The warp drive technology allows a spaceship to travel faster than light by bending space-time. The warp drive creates a bubble around the ship, moving it through space safely 99.7% of the time.
Yeah, Rico, techno bubble, blah, blah, blah. Never tell me the odds, kid. Let's do this. Rico to tell me about warp drive technology because I already know everything there is to know about it. And no, I didn't read the papers on it. My time's too precious. I got an excellent summary from our friends and sponsor of this adventure, SciSummary. Long scientific papers on everything. But that's not a problem for me. SciSummary is the perfect tool. Citations back to the paper. All you have to do person on this spaceship. Well, hello, Kepler.
The Kepler 22 star system is a lot simpler than our solar system. It's only got one exoplanet in it. But this exoplanet, named Kepler 22b, is intriguing. It orbits within the star's habitable zone. And that means one important thing.
Alien civilization.
Water. It means water.
Oh.
Whenever a planet is in the habitable zone of its star, it means that the temperature is warm enough for water to remain in a liquid state, instead of evaporating, like it would, say, on Venus. Or freezing like it would on Mars. And the Kepler 22 star is almost exactly like our sun. It's a slightly smaller G-type star, which means it has a surface temperature of around 5,500 Kelvin. That's 5,200 degrees Celsius. Not too bad for a distant star system, except one thing. This exoplanet, Kepler 22b, is a lot bigger than Earth.
I don't see how that's a problem. It's just more surface to love. I mean, sure, it might have stronger gravity or, like, earthquakes. Kepler quakes. But, like, Earth has earthquakes, too, and it's doing just fine.
The larger size of the exoplanet might indicate the presence of a thick atmosphere, leading to high surface pressure. This could result in water existing in a supercritical state, neither a true liquid nor gas, making it less suitable for life as we know it.
It's true. Scientists think Kepler 22b might be covered with a liquid ocean, but they can't be sure what that ocean is like. Your mission is to land down there and test the water. And the atmosphere.
Yeah, this is gonna, land. So, here goes the landing sequence. been almost an hour, and all I see is water. Water! Everywhere, water! I think I can land here. Seriously, Kepler, you are one disappointing exoplanet. Give up, Rico. Wake me up if you see any land.
My sensors read land right below us. You are cleared for landing.
Seriously? I can't even take a nap. Okay, let's land. Whoa, this atmosphere is thick. Rico, give me some stats on this planet.
Kepler 22b is a super-Earth, 2.1 times larger and 9.1 times more massive than Earth. It has an orbital period of 289.9 Earth days. It also has water.
Oh, does it? Does it have water? Oh, God, thank you so much, Rico. You know, the atmosphere actually kind of looks breathable, too. You know, this started out super annoying, but this is actually kind of cool.
Analyzing Kepler 22b atmosphere.
You do that. I'm gonna go see what's out there. Interesting. That feels nice. Could go skinny dipping in here.
That would violate YouTube's terms of service.
Not if it's a music video, technically. Rico, what's the temperature out here? I'm starting to feel like some warm bread in a toaster. Toasty.
The equilibrium temperature on Kepler 22b is estimated to be 22 degrees Celsius. However, my sensors pick up a much higher surface temperature.
If Kepler 22b has a thick atmosphere, it would cover the planet like a blanket, heating it up and turning it into an exoplanetary Venus. If the temperature becomes too high, all the water will turn into vapor, and Kepler 22b will stop being a habitable world. On the other hand, if Kepler has no atmosphere, well, it might become a frozen world.
Eu levantei da cama, tomei meu café, tomei meu café, tomei meu café. Eu levantei da cama, tomei meu café, tomei meu café, tomei meu café.
Does it have water? Oh, God, thank you so much. Rico? You know, the atmosphere actually kind of looks breathable, too. I'm gonna go see what's out there. Interesting. Not if it's a music video, technically. Rico, what's What's the temperature out here? I'm starting to feel like warm bread in a toaster. Toasty.
The equilibrium temperature on Kepler 22b is estimated to be 22 degrees Celsius. However, my sensors pick up a much higher surface temperature.
If Kepler 22b has a thick atmosphere, it would cover the planet like a blanket, heating it up and turning it into an exoplanetary Venus. If the temperature becomes too high, all the water will turn into vapor, and Kepler 22b will stop being a habitable world. On the other hand, if Kepler has no atmosphere, well, it might become a frozen world. It would be incredibly cold at night because with no atmosphere, there would be nothing to retain the heat from the day.
Sounds just like Mercury. Not my favorite planet. My favorite planet is Uranus. Kepler 22b, it seems okay. It's a little tough to walk here.
The surface gravity on Kepler 22b is approximately 2.07 times the gravity of Earth.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed that one, Rico. Hey, have you analyzed the atmosphere yet?
Analysis in process.
Oh, so the answer was no. You're still okay.
The thick atmosphere of Kepler 22b likely contains high levels of hydrogen and helium. Those are two gases that are common on larger planets. But if there isn't any oxygen in the atmosphere, you wouldn't be able to breathe. What you should also worry about is the water. It could be acidic or contaminated with toxic elements like heavy metals. Exposure to the body could prove fatal.
Great. So, there's water on Kepler 22b, not that I can drink it, and the atmosphere's in place, and the temperature's all right. What am I missing? Where's all the life?
If life exists on Kepler, it might be microbial. You wouldn't be able to see it without special equipment.
Did you hear that?
My scans are not picking up any life forms.
I gotta check this out. I just need a break first. All this walking around, that makes me sore. I gotta sit down for a second. I just need to catch my breath.
The atmosphere analysis is not complete.
It's okay. 1 second's not gonna kill me.
Analysis complete.
Something's wrong.
The atmosphere caused your lungs to collapse as a result of barotrauma.
Okay. Thank you. Ow.
It looks like the sudden increase in pressure forced the air in Chase's lungs to compress and rupture. One internal organ failure after another, and just like that, he's gone. But don't worry, he'll show up for his next adventure.
Manchas na pele? Novo Glycolic Bright Anti-Manchas de L'Oréal Paris. 77% das manchas reduzidas. Conte com enterogermina, o único com enterosporos que restabelecem e equilibram a flora intestinal.
If this is how you picture walking on Uranus, you're wrong. Let's start this again. Are you ready to take a trip to the outer regions of the solar system? To explore the weirdest planet in our cosmic neighborhood? To venture down into a place that's never been studied up close by any spacecraft? Buckle up for an icy, violent, and stinky adventure because your mission is to spend 5 seconds on Uranus and come back. If you can. Traveling to Uranus would be a long, strange journey. First, you'd have to spend 10 long years in a spaceship, speeding toward the outskirts of the solar system. If you're lucky, you might even pass Jupiter and Saturn on the way. Just make sure you pack enough food and fuel. Well, there are some things you should know about this world. Uranus isn't a rocky planet like Earth. It's an ice giant like Neptune, and it's the only planet in the solar system that spins on its side. It spins fast, too. One day on Uranus is just 17 Earth hours. Of course, you wouldn't last that long on it. Not a chance. Once you arrived at your destination, you'd still have some work to do to get close to this giant blue planet. You might have to dodge Uranian rings. Yeah, Uranus has rings. 13 of them. They aren't big and majestic like the gorgeous rings of Saturn. The outer rings are bright and easy to spot, but the inner rings are narrow and dark. You'd have to navigate this part of the trip with the utmost care. As you made your way through the dust...
Prepare-se para viver uma aventura com o passaporte decolar. Acumule pontos em cada viagem e avance em um jogo emocionante. E com o poder do cartão decolar, você também acumula nas compras do dia a dia. Seus pontos equivalem até 100% de desconto na compra da sua próxima viagem. Quanto mais você...
Mercury is a strange, hot mess of a planet. This rock is the closest one to the strangest sunrises and sunsets in the entire solar system. Yeah, Mercury is hot and cold at the same time. That's because... the biggest planet in the solar system. And the smallest star in the known universe. Today, they're on a collision course, and Earth might not survive this. Meet the star with a catchy name, EBLM JO555-57AB. Its gravity is 300 times that of Earth's, and it's about the size of our Saturn. EBLMJO555-57AB is a red dwarf and the smallest star we've ever discovered. Usually, it resides 600 light years away from us in its own double star system. But not today. Today, it broke the cosmic speed limit and rushed toward our solar system to meet with the biggest gas giant in it, Jupiter. Let me just tell you, Jupiter is huge. It's about 11 times larger than Earth. It's even bigger than the red dwarf star coming its way, but because it's mostly made of hydrogen, it's not massive enough to be a star. To start converting all its hydrogen into helium and turn into a red dwarf, Jupiter would need to be at least 80 times more massive than it is today. So, what would happen if these two gas giants collided? Well,
Estão todas prontas? Imagine viver os seus melhores sonhos. E aí, Dream Best. Oi, pessoal.
the real collision is about to go down in the greatest mobile game of all time. Raid Shadow Legends. It's time to explore the world of Teleria with over 600 champions ready to fight on your mobile device. My favorite faction? The High Elves.
What if World War II never happened? Firstly, ambitious Japan would be really successful. It'll have many more territories, since they didn't get nuked by US after attacking Pearl Harbor. There's a chance that communist China wouldn't exist due to Japanese occupation. Second, the British colonial empire wouldn't collapse.
This is Neptune. about terraforming the Moon and Mars as we attempt to colonize
space. But what about Venus? If we did manage to terraform our neighbor, one day it could look like this. This is What If. And here's what would happen if the sun exploded tomorrow. That star at the center of our solar system, that super hot ball of plasma that gives us heat and energy, and amazing complexions. Well, it's a ticking time bomb. The sun is about 10 billion years old, but it's only expected to last about another 5 billion years. After that, the sun will expand, becoming a red giant. Then, it will shrink to become a white dwarf, a dying star, cooling for the next several billion years. Of course, we'll all be long gone before any of that happens, but still, can you imagine what it would be like to watch the sun blow up before your very eyes? With a name like supernova, you'd think that a solar explosion would be the most magnificent fireworks show the world has ever seen. But in reality, you likely wouldn't see anything. The sun is 150 million kilometers away from Earth. And it takes 8 minutes
for light from the sun to reach us. And while that may seem super far away, in supernova terms, we don't stand a chance. For Earth to be completely safe from a supernova, we need to be at least 50 to 100 light years away. But the good news is that if the sun were to explode tomorrow, the resulting shockwave wouldn't be strong enough to destroy the whole Earth. Only the side facing the sun would boil away instantly. The lucky other half would experience a rise in temperature that would be 15 times hotter than the sun's current surface temperature. And permanent darkness. And without the sun's mass keeping us in orbit, Earth would likely start floating off into space, while its remaining inhabitants desperately struggle to stay alive. There is a chance that our planet...
Através do inglês eu pude explorar lugares incríveis e evoluir na minha carreira.
You start your day hearing wild news. Jupiter has just swallowed Saturn. And it doesn't stop there. Jupiter is on its way to swallow every planet in the solar system. How big would Jupiter get? What would you see from Earth? And would Jupiter get rings like Saturn? This is What If. And here's what would happen if Jupiter swallowed every planet in the solar system. Jupiter has swallowed a planet before. Around 4.5 billion years ago, a protoplanet slammed into the young Jupiter. The protoplanet was 10 times Earth's mass, made of rocky and icy material. Jupiter's core broke apart and denser material mixed with hydrogen and helium. A few billion years later, the heavy material settled back into the dense core that we see today. Now, swallowing a single planet is one thing, but could Jupiter eat up all 7? In this scenario, you're going to see the planets get swallowed from largest to smallest. Although, we're saving Earth for last. But before we start plunging our solar system into chaos, let me tell you about chaos in a non-hypothetical world. Wave and reclaim stars. And if you were to look up at the night sky as Jupiter swallows Saturn, well, all you'd see is Jupiter getting super bright. But if you were closer to the action, you'd see complete chaos. Jupiter is only 3 times heavier than Saturn, so it would be swallowing a planet that's almost its size.
First, their moons would collide, creating massive amounts of debris. Some moon remnants would rain down on Jupiter, and some of the debris would float in space. As Jupiter was crashing into Saturn, Jupiter's surface temperature would become hotter than the sun's outer layer. Whatever remained of Saturn would mix in with Jupiter's atmosphere. They would become one. Now, swallowing Saturn would increase Jupiter's mass and gravity by 30%. Jupiter would also sport prominent new rings from the shattered moons. Next, it would envelop the two ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. The 27 moons of Uranus would collide with the rings of Jupiter, adding to the floating debris. Uranus has an icy core made of water, methane, and ammonia, but Neptune's inner core is rocky. Regardless, both cores would melt as the planets crashed into Jupiter. Now, Jupiter would be almost 40% heavier, and it would head towards its first rocky planetary snacks. The rocky planets, Venus and Mars, wouldn't even make it to Jupiter's core. They'd burn up in Jupiter's atmosphere as if they were mere asteroids. Then we'd see our last planetary neighbor disappear inside this bulked up Jupiter. Mercury is even smaller than Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede. So it would get ripped apart by Jupiter's rings, adding to the speedy debris. Now, only Earth and Jupiter would be left, and Earth would be in big trouble. But how would Jupiter go about swallowing our planet? You know, even in its normal state, without swallowing 6 planets, Jupiter's gravitational force affects Earth. Yeah, every 405,000 years, the pull of Jupiter and Venus makes Earth's orbit wobble. It causes hotter summers, colder winters, and more rainfall in the tropics. And now, Jupiter's gravitational pull would be over 40% stronger. But Jupiter's pull would still be no match for the Sun's gravitational force, so Jupiter would have to come for Earth just like it swallowed all the other planets in our solar system. Jupiter doesn't have a hard surface like the rocky planets. You could say Jupiter is a big, dense ball of gas. Its surface is defined as the point where its atmospheric pressure is equal to Earth's. Well, so could Earth simply pass through? No. Just like the rest of the planets, Earth and all life on it would be toast. First, we'd be bombarded by asteroids while passing through Jupiter's rings. I doubt anyone would survive this, but if they did, they would see the Earth igniting as it enters Jupiter's atmosphere. Jupiter is so massive that even if it were to swallow its 7 planetary neighbors, it wouldn't even double in size. Now, what would happen if Jupiter continued to grow? Well, even if Jupiter increased its mass by 400%, it would stay about the same size. But the extra mass would make Jupiter so dense that it would start pulling in on itself. Yeah, it would get smaller instead of larger. And if Jupiter were to increase its mass by 70,000%, well, it could trigger a fusion reaction and light up like a star. Can you imagine what it would be like to have not 1, but 2 stars in the solar system?
The Invisible, de Solar Expertise, a proteção solar de L'Oréal Paris.
Com o Bradesco, você tem acesso a mesas VIPs em restaurantes estrelados.
Yeah, all right, let's shake things up a bit. Our solar system has been around for billions of years and is starting to get a little boring. So what if we shook up the positions of our planet? Today, we're rearranging the planets in our solar system. raised on Mars, your body would look very different. Mars might be the best candidate for humanity's future space settlement, but as far as gravity, breathable atmosphere, and liquid water go, it ain't the kind of place you could survive. If I told you that in another universe, Earth could be shaped like a donut, well, you'd probably think I'm crazy. But theoretically, it could happen. This alternate Earth might also be squeezed into the shape of a dumbbell. Or it could even be flat. Okay, maybe that one's a bit harder to pull off, but Earth could be many strange and different shapes. Today, I'll take you through 7 of the weirdest possibilities. Some shapes can be incredibly dangerous, while others might be better in some ways than what we have now. Number 7, Donut Earth. On a donut Earth, or a torus-shaped Earth, as the science community likes to call it, gravity would be very different. Depending on where you're standing, you could weigh up to 3 times less than what you weigh right now. Our current round Earth has a surface gravity of 1 g, but things would be a bit different on a donut Earth. At the poles, the surface gravity would be 0.65 Gs, while near the equator, it would only be 0.03 Gs. You'd feel like you're bouncing around on Mars.
Coriton, não sai da sua cabeça.
All right, class, today we're learning about black holes. Now, the thing about...
What if California becomes its own country? Well, if California suddenly decided to break away from the United States and become its own country, you would automatically become one of the most powerful countries in the entire world. Can you guess what color will your passport be? If we take a look at its economy, you can see that it would already be a very rich country with the GDP of $3.5 trillion. This amount of money would make the country more rich than the United Kingdom and India while still remaining behind Germany. The total land area of California is approximately 163,696 square miles, making it the 59th largest country in the world by land area, slightly larger than Iraq and behind Paraguay. It would have a population of almost 40 million people, which...
Here are the top 10 craziest events that could end the world. And... Today, we're dropping a massive bomb into the Mariana Trench. But we're not stopping there. We're also going to nuke a hurricane and a volcano. What happens when...
Novo Protec Serum.
Primeiro sérum sabonete líquido corporal. Hiperidratação no seu banho.
Conte com enterogermina, o único com intelecporos que restabelecem e equilibram a flora intestinal.
Humans have been evolving for the past 6 million years. But something's gone terribly wrong. And now we're evolving backward. Once this process began, how long would it take for you to become an ape again? What does climate have to do with it? And why would society completely collapse? This is What If, and here's what would happen if humans evolved backward. Thanks to evolution, humanity dominates Earth, but how did that happen? Well, first, don't think of evolution as a straight and narrow path. Evolution happens through the process of natural selection. Over millions of years, organisms adapt to their environments by developing the traits needed to keep them alive. The life forms that don't adapt die. Evolution doesn't have an end goal for you. It's a never-ending process of survival. So, if you started de-evolving today, how soon would humanity perish?
You know,
climate and evolution go hand in hand, and with such extreme weather hitting the Earth, I'm looking at you, California, it's hard to imagine what changes the next few thousand years will bring. Fortunately, we have some good news. That hole in the ozone layer is healing. The void was first noticed in the 1980s, and it's expected to return to normal by 2045. But before celebrating, know that this didn't happen through good luck. That damaging hole is being repaired thanks to decades of environmental... Before you shrunk out of sight, your body would stretch to new heights. Well, that's good news for my short kings out there. In just 1 hour, you would grow to around 1.8 meters tall. Your jaw and teeth would also expand, and your brain size would increase massively. Yeah, that melon of yours is getting huge. You just devolved back into Homo erectus, humanity's long-extinct cousin. And these changes would have major consequences on your life. Another 2 minutes, and you'd lose brain capacity. You'd forget how to hunt or farm. From now on, your diet would be limited. You'd eat whatever you could find in the wild, or you could make a trip to the grocery store while they still exist, but you certainly wouldn't be smart enough to understand how to pay. Clothes would be a thing of the past now. You'd be letting everything hang free. You'd forget everything. You wouldn't know how to bury the dead or how to create art. You'd be naked, hungry, kind of dumb, and a little uglier. The good news? Well, no one would tell you. After about 4 hours into this experiment, well, you'd lose the ability to talk. And as you grunted your way through life, society, good news? Well, no one would tell you. After about 4 hours, it would start to crumble. Yeah, in the next 2.5 days, cities would become abandoned ruins of a time forgotten. Instead of living in these buildings, you'd prefer roughing it in huts. Now, you would devolve into Homo habilis, eating leaves, plants, and whatever animal you could catch. With your diminished brain capacity, you wouldn't be able to use stone tools anymore, and a warm fire would be a rare luxury. After 6 days, you'd devolve back into a chimp. You'd be living off the spoils of the jungle, eating seeds, nuts, and insects. Over the next couple of months, wild primates would reign on Earth again. Okay, after 6 months of your devolution, the lines between species would blur. Now, you would live among the monotremes, mammals that lay eggs like the platypus. Yeah, you'd be hatched into this new world. After 1 year, you'd be wallowing in freshwater habitats with the other tetrapods. And if that sounds refreshing, well, just wait. In 1 more year, you'd live it up as a starfish or a worm-like creature floating in the ocean without care. The once great species known as humans would return to a single-celled bacteria 10 years into this wild experiment. All of human history, your knowledge and experiences would be gone, and you would be reduced to a tiny speck. So, once you're back in this simple state, could you evolve back into a human again? Yeah, well, probably not. We humans evolved this way thanks to a lot of luck and specific circumstances. It all depends on the new conditions on our planet. You could develop blue skin like the Na'vi, or even become bioluminescent. Wow. Dry ice is one of the coldest substances on Earth. This is what it does to a flower. And check out what it does to this action figure. Ouch! Now, what would happen if you swallowed dry ice? What would it do to your skin? How much could you eat before it hurts you? And how would it affect your stomach? This is What If. And here's what would happen if you ate a brick of dry ice. Dry ice is a solid... Coca-Cola can do some pretty strange things. And the ingredients inside of it might be even more bizarre. Just imagine what it's doing inside your body after you drink it. Now, let's take that one step further and imagine only drinking Coca-Cola for the rest of your life. What effects does Coca-Cola have on your body? What would this do to your teeth? And how bad would replacing water with Coke be? This is What If. And here's what would happen if you only drank Coca-Cola. Believe it or not, someone has done something like this before. A woman in Monaco stopped drinking water and only drank Coca-Cola for 16 years straight. Did she survive doing this to her body? And what would happen if you did the same? Doctors recommend that people should drink anywhere from 3 to 4 liters of water a day. So instead, we're going to replace that with Coca-Cola. A single can of Coke has 39 grams of sugar. To get your daily fluid intake, you'd need to drink over 8 cans of Coke each day. That's 312 grams of sugar. It would be... Keep me up at night.